Hello, and welcome to this tutorial on how to record piano using GarageBand. Before we really get into it, I just wanted to go over a couple things. Basically, you need two things. You need a digital piano or a keyboard, and you'll need a computer that is running GarageBand. Now, talking about the digital piano or keyboard, typically what you might see on the back of it is something like this, where you have a bunch of ports, and in particular, you want to make sure that you have some way for the keyboard to connect up to the computer through a MIDI interface. Now, there's two ways that this can be done. There's the USB MIDI port. If your keyboard or digital piano has it, that can be connected up to your computer's USB port through using a USB cable. So that's the simplest way, and the more modern, digital pianos and keyboards should have this USB MIDI port. However, if you have an older model, you may only have the MIDI out, MIDI in ports, in which case you could still connect those up to your computer's USB port, but you will need to purchase an adapter that will convert the MIDI out, MIDI in to USB, and then that USB can be plugged into your computer's USB port. The next thing that you'll need is to make sure that the sustain pedal is connected to your digital piano or keyboard. Now, this isn't necessary if you're not using the sustain pedal for your piano recording, but that's usually typically what you have on a real piano, and it's I would highly suggest having a sustain pedal, as we are also going to go over how GarageBand handles the sustain signals that are passed in from the digital piano. Okay, so now, assuming you have all of your equipment hooked up, we can open GarageBand, and it'll ask you to create an empty project. Select that and select software instrument, and it'll give you this default instrument, classic piano. We can change that over to Steinway Grand as shown here and test it out. Okay, then let's also change the tempo here to 110, and I'm gonna start recording a song that you all are probably familiar with. Let's stop the recording and play it back. Once you finish recording, you can open the piano roll by double-clicking the recorded area. Now here, you can see all of the notes that have been recorded. It also allows you to remove, add, or edit notes in case there's a mistake or you just don't like how a particular note sounds. Note editing using the piano roll will be discussed in a future tutorial. Now, I don't know if it was obvious from the piano recording, but the sustain pedal was being used all throughout. To visually inspect the sustain pedal on and off states, you can click this button here and you'll see a new view pop up below containing other data captured from the digital piano, one of which is the sustain pedal. You can select sustain from this drop down. Notice the orange waveform indicating when the sustain pedal was depressed versus when it was let go. When the signal is at the highest point, the sustain pedal is being pressed all the way down, and conversely, if the signal is at 0, the sustain pedal is released. There are also points in between, as you can see in these dots, where the pedal is partially pressed while the pedal transitions from off to on and on to off. Now, a good habit to get into is to make sure to save your project. And so we'll go to File, Save As, and give it a name, tutorial, and we can choose a different location, and you can hit save, and that'll save the project. Now, the final thing I wanted to talk about was exporting the project to playable media like MP3. So you go to Share, Export Song to Disk, and here you could see there's several options, formats you could choose from, AAC, MP3. So if you have a desired format, you can certainly choose the one that you want to generate, and then just select that format. And if you hit wave, you could also select higher quality, like 24-bit, and give it the proper name, and then you could just select location and then hit export.